Popular opinion. This is the word that property investors with 5 to 7 properties would hate to associate with. They totally dislike this key word that gets mentioned all the time, and that word is affordability. That is right, guys. That is the honest truth, and a lot of property investors would hold it to the chest and go, "Oh, affordability. We should endorse, housing affordability." BS. Property investors with 5 to 7 properties do not want property to be affordable, because this is what it means for property to be affordable. It means the property which is at the peak value has to drop and correct to a certain amount that the lower demographic can purchase and get into the market. That means their property value has to drop, and no property investor with a portfolio of 5 to 7 properties wants the property market to drop in value so that it becomes affordable. For example, if you live in a suburb, for example, Sydney's east, for example, Maroubra, and then in that suburb or that street, it sells over 300k over reserve. For example, this property, which is in eastern suburbs, Maroubra, 3-bedder, 2-bath, 2-car space, it was supposed to be sold for 3.2. That's the reserve, but it went over reserve to 3.5. Now, if I was in the neighborhood and I was living next door and that was my house over there and this was sold for 300k over reserve, I'd be like, oh man, this is good. Which means if my house was 2 doors down and had the same specs, 3-bedroom, 2-car space, 2-bathroom, and this was sold for 3.5, then my property would have appreciated by 300k, because that is now the new market value. And on the same page, if I was an investor and I had a property that was sitting 3 doors down, I'll be happy too. I'll be like, great, why wasn't there like another Chinese buyer that threw cash to make it $4.5 million? Therefore, admitting to the fact, I actually don't want housing to be affordable. I want housing to be unaffordable. And that is the honest truth, guys. Clients I work with that hold about 7 to 10 properties in their property portfolio, they have properties scattered in these hotspots. They do not want housing to be affordable. The more unaffordable it is, the better it is. To visually show you what I mean is, I've drawn up this table over here and I call it the capital G or capital growth ripple effect. Each of these squares represent, for example, suburbs, okay? So what happens is when one suburb, say for example, 3 million in this suburb to buy in this suburb, and people can't buy over here, they ripple over to a neighboring suburb, which is, for example, $2 million. If they can't afford here, they then have to go to another suburb that will be around $1 million. That is called a ripple effect. And now, for example, say you had a lot of properties scattered here, 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 and here, and here. You will love it when the ripple effect goes up in value, in terms of increase in value, in terms of increase in demand that drive up demand, which means property becomes more unaffordable, right? So having this as a premise where the higher it goes in terms of the value, the more unaffordable it goes, well, the bigger the ripple effect. For example, this later will become 5 million, and the property that you have here will become 3 million, and then so on and so forth. But if property becomes affordable, this keyword, it means property has to drop in value. So the prices you had or purchased maybe 4 or 5 years ago, which was, for example, now $5 million, you're trying to make property affordable by saying, oh, no, for this suburb, we'll freaking make it, 800k for a house. If you bought properties in these areas about 10 years ago, which was holding value at $5 million, and then this was like sort of legislated, well, the ripple effect is this will be drawn and brought back down to like maybe 1 mil. For the sake of affordability for this entitled culture, you're gonna lose $4 million of value due to this negative ripple effect. A lot of you will say, hey, housing is for people. They just want to have a roof over their head. BS. If you own assets, you wouldn't think that way. Let me give you another example. Not talking about property, let's talk about cars. Tesla owners in China protest against surprise price cuts they missed. There was a mass protest of Chinese buyers flooding these Tesla stores because what happened is prior they bought the car, for example, at $50,000, right? And then Tesla came out with some sort of discount or some promotion, and now they can buy cars for like $35,000, for example. Imagine you bought a Tesla for 50k, and then 3 months later the company comes out and go, oh, let's sell the same car for 35k. You just lost the value of 15k. Would you be happy if that happened to you? And then I come knocking on your door and go, hey, don't be unhappy. It's for, Tesla affordability so that everyone can get a car. Don't you want that? And that's why this is an unpopular truth. Paint me as a villain, but I'm here to highlight your hypocrisy. of your argument that, oh, I want housing affordability, well, why don't we apply that to the assets you have? And then when they drop in value, are you going to complain about housing affordability? Because whatever people say or try to, champion for housing affordability, like old mate new senator here, Maria, who's championing for, negative gearing to be controlled, and then housing affordability, blah, blah, PR speech, which Mr. Peter Dunn here is like, shut up, bitch. That is not going to happen, guys. The capital G ripple effect cannot be defeated. There is a tsunami of capital growth in Australia at the moment. You cannot drive prices down for the sake of affordability. Unaffordability will exist because this is the law of nature. Don't believe me? Next time there's a bloody tsunami coming down Sydney Harbour, stand in front of that tsunami and go, housing affordability, you'll be wiped out, yo! Jump in the comments, let me know what you think. Either toast me or roast me.